to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I am sitting down chatting. We're virtual. I'm sitting down and chatting with a multidisciplinary artist from East Baltimore. Please welcome YTK. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
See, I like that it got smooth, it got chill, got relaxed. I'm coming with the anxiety energy, and we're coming.
Oh,
No, it's all good. So for those who are undipped and don't know, give us the vital stats. What's your background? Who are you? Give us the rundown.
All right. Well, I'm YTK, 22 years old, from East Baltimore, Maryland. Been making music in the area since like 2016. Director, producer, engineer, video editor, cover art maker, everything that it take to be an artist, I do type shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the rundown right there.
It's like a one-man show. When I was like out here like looking at like, okay, what does dude do? And I was just like, all right, my man is doing everything. I was on the website for a while. I was just like I've seen this guy. I've seen this dude. So since I think it's a fully formed, fully realized like approach when you have your hands on every part of what the process is. That means that it's truthfully going to be your thing. You know how like some people might, all right, let me have somebody else do the cover art. And you're like, this didn't work. I'm going to end up doing it. Or like for me, let me have somebody do the editing. And it's like, all right, my editor is good, but you know, sometimes everybody ain't good.
Yeah, sometimes your touch isn't the same as somebody else's touch, and it's like the vision isn't fully executed in that way. And it's not like I'm against trusting niggas with the vision, but you know, since it's my shit, I'm sensitive to the quality level, you know, like and exactly what I'm trying to get across doesn't always get across when the hands start switching. So I mean, I do what I can, but I'm not against like expanding the team and having conversations with niggas so they know where my head at, so maybe they could edit my videos. And it's a good example is, especially this one is kind of like the one that I genuinely can't do is like shooting my own videos because I can't shoot it. I can't pick an angle and be in front of the camera at the same time. Yeah. But thank God I got my cousin, and it's like we grew up, he my blood cousin, we grew up like brothers, so we got almost the exact same vision, so it's easy to trust him with my shit. But I feel like that same kind of understanding takes a while to get in other aspects like cover art or mixing or production or, you know, just all the shit that gets the storytelling across is like, it's more difficult I'm more sensitive about shit like that. And I'm not going to, if I can't do it myself, I learn it, you know?
No, I dig it. And, you know, one of the things like I wanted to add in a video component with this and I said the same thing. I was like, yo, I can't shoot it and be in it. Like what are we doing? And, or like one of the things that I've learned, and when you're really a one man show and the vision is very much you, it's one of those things where when you don't have that kind of space to bring in another person into getting bogged down and burned out really quick. And you got to figure out which parts of it can you offload. So I know that when it comes to an edit, I can offload that. That's just like, yo, clean this up. You listen to enough episodes, you know what I'm trying to do. But when it comes to like coming up with questions, no one's going to research the same way that I'm going to and come up with these weird observations. Like I'm going to see something. I'm like, yo, I know you fuck with that. I'm going to ask you that. No one else is going to peep that. That's the thing.
Passion that you can't transfer to another nigga. Like your vision and your unique perspective needs to be translated in your shit, or else it's almost not your shit anymore, you know?
Absolutely. So in that regard, can you walk us through that overall process to putting together something as, and it's not to diminish, but something as small as a song, because that's part of the full unit or a project. So like, how does that differ? What does that process look like for each?
I feel like the process with a song is, from a technical standpoint, as well as like a creative, almost emotional standpoint, is conceptually I come up with either what I want to tell a story about, whether that's like just how I'm feeling at the moment or something that I think would be cool to make a song about, or, you know, like even a mix between both, like just finding whatever inspiration comes from it. From there, I make the beat, I lay vocal ideas down, and I start that process of recording, mixing, mastering, and all that shit. And from there, I feel like it's a really organic process. And I think it goes the same way with most of my projects, is that like I make a lot of content that is inspired by my current state of mind or whatever I'm thinking about, or like how I'm genuinely feeling at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I find out more organic ways to kind of package it up, or more organic ways to help tell that story in that same way. And I feel like all of my art is rooted deeply in storytelling, whether it's like completely intentional or not. Like a big part of my like moral ground is like, I'm here to tell a story and connect with people through my eyes. Like that's why my website, like, it's called YTK World, because it's like my world, like that I'm bring niggas into, and I want to like help them see through my eyes, like how I feel about shit, or how like the world sound to me or look to me right now. Because even the way I color grade my videos, or the lack thereof, like it's because I'm colorblind. So it's like y'all seeing what I think look cool, you know? So y'all hearing what I think look cool. I'm saying what I think niggas should hear, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the process, and it goes the same with songs, videos, projects, skits. Like almost anything I do is just like, I think this would be cool, you know?
So where or how do you rediscover inspiration when you're feeling like creatively flat, right? Like it might be writer's block, might be production block, or whatever it is, but you're just like, I ain't feeling it right now. What do you do to kind of get out of that funk?
I feel like I have a different approach than most creators when I reach a point that feels like, lack of a better term, writer's block. Because sometimes I get beat blocks, sometimes I get, edit blocks, sometimes I get even like writing, just general creative blocks. I feel like I don't attack the same way twice. I really just try to tap in with myself and see what I need. And I feel like the thing that gets most creators like tense about the blocks they have is the pressure of needing to get out of the block immediately. And I feel like when you put that pressure on yourself, it makes it a little harder. So what I do is, if I'm feeling a block of any way, I have like a huge root of my general disposition as a person is because like my mom really instilled a sense of mindfulness in everything that I do. And like, especially just kind of being myself and like figuring out what I need or what I should do and trying not to follow what everybody else does. Like usually I'll meditate. I'll see exactly how I'm feeling. I'll take a bath. I'll watch a movie. I'll try not to stress about like not having exactly what I want, because it's not going to come in a genuine way if I'm trying to force it. Like I never try to force shit. But I think the biggest thing for me though is really just when I feel blocked, I just catch a vibe and that shit comes naturally. Like even within watching a movie or chilling, or like whatever song I'm listening to when I'm in the bath, or certain scenes in movies, like I'll have to replay that bitch like 3 times because it was like, oh my God, that shit was just a little nuts. And then that informs different mediums that, I got my hand in. Like I'll see a scene that'll make me think of either a bar, or the composition of the shot would be like, damn, that'd be hard for some cover art, or I want to do that for a video, a similar, composition of what I'm seeing. Like I might want to do something tangentially related to that. So usually, when I get in the block, I do shit like that, just vibe out until they come back.
I'm going to say this real quick. You're not 22, because you're sounding like not in a negative sort of like you're mature for your age, but no, you sound like you have a degree of mindfulness and awareness and sense of self that a lot of people that are in their fucking 30s don't even have. I mean, I barely have it, and I'm 37. So I read in an interview that Blonde by Frank Ocean was your favorite album. Is that still true? And breaking down a record that you like, is there something that you maybe heard from that project and maybe the behind the scene, maybe some of the stuff going along with that piece that you've applied to your own work.
Yeah, I think definitely the reason why that's my favorite album ties in with why my favorite artists are my favorite artists, and like why my favorite movies are my favorite movies and shit like that. It's because like it has just like a level of vulnerability and like intimacy to the music that feels like it's so personal, it's one-on-one. Like another nigga couldn't make the same song. And it's like it stirs something up. And not only me, but almost like everybody else who's a fan of the album, is because like it has a certain air to it that makes it just it's like human as fuck, you know? And I would say it's definitely like top albums of all time. Like it still is like my favorite album of all time. But even if that weren't it, the same reasons why it is my favorite album is like the reason why some of my favorite other albums are my favorite albums. So it's like the vulnerability definitely does inform as well, like why I make or my motivations into making music. So those are like, that aspect is something I take away from that album, is just like the vulnerability, like how crafted
Right.
it was. Like the nigga ain't dropped shit for a minute until he came out with that. And I was like, that means he was sitting on that shit, perfecting it, honing it. And I feel like not even in a sense that like perfecting means listening to the same song like 30, 40 times and scrapping takes and da-da-da-da-da. I feel like perfection might mean something different to everybody else. And the way I interpret it is like just giving it time until it feels right to drop, you know? And as well as even behind the drop of the album itself, not even listening to it sonically, but like the whole shit that happened with Def Jam and him dropping the Dud project under Def Jam and then coming with Blonde under his own shit. It just felt so authentic and free. And I was like, damn, like, I don't even really feel like that counts as a rollout. That's like life. Like that's like his life was going on. And that's what the journey he kind of took us on with. And I feel like that's some of the most special shit is when, like I said earlier, you can bring niggas into your head and like the story that you live in is communally shared with everybody else who like ingests the art.
That's legit. That's legit. I think when it comes to like the really vulnerable stuff, when it just resonates with you and you can see something in it, you can feel something, you can hear it, just like there's a spirit, there's an energy around it. And you know, maybe it's because I'm an Aquarius or what have you, and I'm a sad boy in these streets. But you know, that's why I got really uber protective. Like people take weird shots at the weekend and shit, but that's why I got really uber protective of After Hours. I was like, oh no, this is just definitely a sad Aquarius album. I'm here for it. Let's go, let's make it a thing. And I was like, all right, you got to really follow this up with something, my guy. And the release was a little too quick, pandemic, all of that. Yeah. But yeah, it's like that thing resonated with me. And it's like when I go through a project, because sometimes music feels very commercial and disposable. And when something doesn't feel that way, you got to hold on to that shit. Yeah.
Nah, facts, for real.
So you touched on, you know, you've been kind of doing your thing since 2016, right? And so so stepping back a little bit, how long was like music a part of your life in terms of like, yo, I need to get this joint? I remember waiting out in front of Sam Goody. Well, you don't have that because you're a child, but you know, waiting out there in front of Sam Goody. I can tell you this because we're recording this. I think this is close to the anniversary when College Dropout came out. I was at Morgan, and
damn. Not damn, not like, yo, why does it does, the Don Cheadle and Kevin Hart interview?
I was like, what? So I remember leaving from class midday, taking a light rail over there to what is it? The Circuit City. That doesn't even exist anymore to get the joint. And I just remember listening to that shit like 4 weeks, like a month straight. And I was just like, yo, this is where we're at. This is what I'm here for. And so that's like one of those like seminal experiences for me. And I think I was like 19 or something when I joined Drop. So for you, like, what was something that really pops in terms of like a music like Milestone, Touchstone, like Capsule. Like you can go back and like y'all remember what I was doing then.
Type shit. I feel like I have a lot of experiences like that. Ever since I was a kid, like I was always deeply musical. Like I realized at an early age, and not maybe in like a fully fleshed out, fully formed concept, but like something that I just kind of like knew as a nigga is that like music is always happening somewhere. Like when you in the car, when you in the grocery store, you know, when you go to bed, when you wake up, like there's at some point in time, there's something musical happening. Like card parties over my aunt's shit, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always like some good shit going on. And I feel like one of my like first album getting experiences that really like made me go like, damn, like this is the first time I was invested enough. And this was like, you know, I'm younger, so it was like the time period was like dropping off and getting physical shit. But I started getting into it. I would grab like vinyls from the 99-cent shit and just kind of experiment sampling with those. But previous to that, my first album that I bought as a consumer before I was officially releasing music, I think was Wolf by Tyler, the Creator. And I got the deluxe joint the day it came out. And I went to FYE, like that was the spot you would get CDs from. And I got the deluxe joint. That bitch came with an iron on, a poster, like a fucking lyric booklet of each of the songs. And my mom, I was playing that shit on like the radio through the CD. And I literally like, when I got out of school, I told my mom the whole shit. I'm like, Mom, I'm ready to go to the mall with this little slick little $20 I got. I'm ready to go grab this album and I'm ready to be in my room the rest of the day. And I played that shit like 5 times in a row, just like scratching my chin and like pacing back and forth. And she came in because, you know, at the time, especially during Wolf, like he wasn't all I'm gay, you know, flowers and ponies. I like all this. He was talking about some dark shit. So my mom come in and she like, nigga, like, what are you in here listening to? And I swear to God, like, this is probably like one of the wildest moments I had with my mom. But I had a white boy moment, bro. I'm like, Mom, like, you not understanding what I'm going through right now. Like, this is my music, Mom. And she kind of understood it then. She was like, okay, nigga, okay, look, hey, you don't talk to me crazy now, but I'll step out and let you have your moment. So I think that was one of my first albums that I bought, listened to, and like really like loved in that same way.
That's funny. I could just see it. Like, Mom, you don't get it. He speaks to us.
You don't get it. He's speaking to me, Mom. Like it's dark. I'm dark.
So over the last like 2 years, social media has been super important in the way that things are rolled out in terms of like shows and such have changed. What lessons would you say that you've learned in kind of getting out content, getting out music, using this kind of different method of doing it, using social media as a more prominent focus of that marketing mix?
Yeah. I think I've always seen it as like, that's always been how I've marketed my music in some way, shape, or another. Like when I first started though, it was just like kind of word of mouth, doing shows, talking to niggas, you know, but they would always go to the internet to see, you know, what kind of artist I was, what I would talk about, you know, like the SoundCloud links to my shit and all that shit. So it was always a part of it, but it is becoming more like integral to have an online presence that's like sleek and looks like something and tells a story. And I feel like that aspect of it is kind of something I'm still navigating. And I've had, you know, like, in my opinion, my successes and pitfalls on both ends of the spectrum of that. But I think it's fun, but in some ways, like, it's difficult to get lost in just like, like the metaverse of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like getting stuck in being on the internet and the internet culture instead of letting real life inform what you present on the internet. And I feel like that is the sweet spot of where most like good, long lasting content comes from, is just like understanding yourself first and then just having a ball on the internet and then like letting people come along with that journey and knowing like the internet isn't necessarily the final frontier, but it is something to think about.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be part of that mix, and I think in
Mhm.
conversations that I've had with different artists of all genres, right? Because you see all types of niggas on here. Um, what I've noticed is some of the things that make you who you are baked into your work, regardless, and you don't have to like get on social media
Yeah.
and try to outdo
Hmm.
whoever, whatever, and however. It's just you just do your thing, and it's there. It comes through authentically. So I got two more questions, and I think you touched on one of these a little bit.
Facts.
So winning is relative. What does success look like for you at the moment?
Um, honestly,
Hmm.
I think it's probably two components that hold up. I think probably two components that I would consider falls under success for
Hmm.
me, and that would be being able to pay my bills through
Yeah.
art and fucking making sure that I'm always expressing myself in a real way and like continuing to elevate and innovate on how I'm telling a story, you know? So I think those are, and I feel right now, I feel successful. You know, I don't feel like I'm failing. I feel like there are things that I could do better, but it's like in the moment, I feel successful, but I do have goals, you
I dig
know,
it.
and I feel like that's part of being successful is always wanting to take it that edge further or get better with the next one. And, you know, sitting in that spot, I think it's important to know and not feel like I'm fucking up,
I
you
dig it.
know?
I dig it. So this is the last one I have for you before we get to four rapid fire questions. So the last one I have is it's deeper than music, I would imagine. Can you share some of your influences when it comes to visual, when it comes to literature, film, basically all of the main components of like media outside of music that really inform and contribute to what your overall energy is? So like let's say if it's a movie, it's like, yo, I like Tarantino shit, son. You know, like
Right.
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like my favorite movies are it's this one director named David O. Russell, and he did Silver Linings Playbook. What was the other? I think it was American
Hmm.
Hustle, Joy, and it's just a certain amount of detail. I like directors that have like a strong sense of detail in the way they tell their stories that like matches well with the cinematography. And I feel like he does that really well. Wes Anderson is another one, just off the like sets and how most of his dialogue is like super fast and it's almost musical and rhythmic. But then if you look back at it, it's like they actually had a conversation, but it's like in the tone of voice they speak with, it's all super fucking intentional because you can watch three Wes Anderson movies in a row and you can find all the common themes, but they're like different movies. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? And I think that's difficult to do.
I was almost
Um,
waiting for you to say Wes Anderson because I was just like, I'm waiting
Wes.
for it because it's the movies are always weird, always quirky. It's always an interesting
Mm-hmm.
color palette that's there on screen. So
Facts.
yeah, I mean, I definitely once I slid in with like Grand Budapest Hotel, I was like, okay, we out here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nah, facts. His most recent joint, it like Wes Anderson, like art house heads were like, nah, this wasn't his best. I don't know he could have done. I think it's his best. His most recent, The French
Yep.
Dispatch, is crazy. Because it's like he does like most of his films almost feel like an anthology of like short stories. Cause it's like he'll go off on a tangent that somebody was thinking about. And then like 30 minutes later, he'll be like, and that's why I did that. And they're back
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
room talking about what they're, and I'm like, but with this one, he doesn't shy away from it at all. It's literally just short story, short story, short story, short story. I'm like, I like the way he did that and they all connect. Like it's classic West, but he's not like trying to overdo it. It's just straightforward, like, and it's really nice. I really fuck with that one.
I gotta check that one. I got like a short list of stuff. I definitely just got the membership to Beyond. I'm out here renting videos, my guy. Beyond Video in Baltimore. They got like 20,000 like DVDs in the spot. So I did a screening recently for the Meteor Man movie. That's before your time, and that was one of those joints that was filmed in Baltimore, and I couldn't find it anywhere. They happened to have it, so I was like, "Yo, I did the screening." That joint came out in '93, and it was like black superhero movie, had a Marvel Comics tie-in, and it was shot in White Lock.
What the?
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? And nobody's like, "Oh man, it's all good." It's like, yeah, it was DC. It's like it was shot in White Lock in like Old Town Mall back in the day.
Yo, that's crazy. Yo, that shit. Wow, you said it's called Meteor Man?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm gonna have to look something up.
It's a Robert Townsend joint or what have you. He did the Hollywood Shuffle, all of that stuff. You got to check this shit out, man. This shit's good. Black director.
Wild as fuck.
Like everybody that was black and popping like in the early '90s is in it.
Yo, you know what's crazy?
Luther Vandross is a gangster in it, my guy.
You said Luther Vandross?
Skinny Luther with the blicky is in the movie. With the Blickington is in the movie.
No, that's wild as fuck. That's wild as hell, yo.
I mean, when I did the intro, I was like, look, if you don't get anything out of this movie, you just get to see Luther Vandross as a gangster.
Nah, that's
literally that's what he does. Yeah. That's literally what he does. So look. Let me hit you with these rapid fire joints real quick, and then we can wrap it up. So rapid fire. The way I try to go with this is whatever the answer that pops in your head, right there.
All right. Cool.
And you know, this first one is very trolly because of you kind of had a viral period last year. Mm-hmm. So Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston, which one are you going with?
I'm gonna go with Mariah, bro. Mariah held me down on the low. She could have really put a nigga in a spot, but she didn't. Shout out Mariah.
Shout out Questlove.
Shout out Quest. I met that nigga at when he previewed his like Summer of Soul joint. Yeah, he was cool as shit.
He and I have the same birthday, so it's a thing.
Yeah.
What artist would you want to have what's your dream collaboration? And it can be artist and however you view it. It could be visual, it could be, musical. What are you thinking?
Dream collab. I'm gonna say Tyler.
Okay.
Because it could be something visual, it could be some clothes, but bro, it could be a song, it could be a set for a live show. He just do a lot of shit, so I probably say him.
Spotify, Tidal, or Apple Music? What is your preference?
I use Apple Music, but I don't really necessarily have a preference. I like Spotify because it's like, honestly, not all the cuts end up on Apple Music. I just use Apple Music because it comes with the phone damn near, and they got lyrics. So I'm like, okay, I'll jump on that. But I got both. So.
Yeah. And lastly, finish this sentence here. Without art.
Shit ass.
Real shit, authentic. That's the most honest answer I've heard to that. That's ass, son.
Shit ass, bro. Shit is ass.
So with that being said, I want to invite you. Well, one, I want to thank you for being on this podcast, and two,
appreciate you.
I want to invite you to tell the fine folks where to check out your work, where to check out you on social media, all of that good stuff.
Word. You can just go to ytk.world, and then all my social media on there, all my visuals is on there, all my songs. I got some shit rolling out. Everything that I'm about to be doing is kind of focused through there. So it's like, ytk.world.
So there you have it, folks.
I
want to thank YTK for coming on to the podcast and chopping it up with me. And for YTK, I am Rob Lee, saying that there's art in and around your neck of the woods. You just got to look for it.